We're finally getting the things we always wanted from Rampart.
Spiky Bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the upcoming Rampart 3 Kickstarter. So they sent us some of the sprues to actually take a look at, and one of the existing kits that they fulfilled with their Kickstarter from last time that we told you about way back in 2019. I had to look it up. Seems like it was basically 5 years ago, but it's only been a couple of years. So the one thing I always thought that they could do a little bit better with Rampart was that there wasn't a really good flooring system for it. Now, it was a great value for what you got still. Nonetheless, you could get basically, you know, a good bit of a table's worth of terrain for way under $100, which is just incredible to say the least when you got kits going for over $100 from somebody else, right? But I think the thing that's important about this is that they keep continuing to add on to the existing expansions out there. And now we're getting not only floors that are amazing, but also some really cool looking walls, ladders, ramps, and even like bridges and stuff for all those popular games out there that you probably already play, you know, from Necromunda to Horus Heresy, or even just something that you want to play or just set up some dope terrain for yourself. So let's take a closer look at the Kickstarter page. Now, keep in mind, this is not in stone yet. It's going to get changed before the Kickstarter starts, and some of the sprues they sent over that we're going to put together like a little Lego set and have some fun with too. That I really like this set here, and I think if you've been on the fence to pledge this terrain set and this concept, like, this is probably going to put you over the edge. And if you already have some of this terrain, you're probably going to want some of the new terrain, because the new terrain looks dope, plus it's got all the floors and it works with the existing stuff that you already have, like the cathedral or the ruins or the ruined temple looking stuff too. So it's just a good value all the way around from the standpoint of it works with the existing stuff, and also it's pretty good priced. Now, here is the pledge page basically for Rampart. Now, it's going to hit on the 11th of January, which is a Tuesday. I don't know when you'll be seeing this video, but hopefully you'll be ready to plop down some cash. And of course, there'll be early bird specials. They don't have any of that listed quite yet. Here's some of the existing stuff that we've already seen, all painted up, but I didn't want to quite talk about that. I wanted to talk about obviously this here, that not only does it go together with these little plastic studs, but you can also magnetize this stuff too, which we have done in the past. It works great. We're not going to do that for the stuff that they sent over, unfortunately, until I get the finished product. But I mean, for 99 euros, you can get 30 inches of terrain right here, which is a great number, probably for like Kill Team or something like that. And actually, I'm going to take some of the stuff that they sent us today to mess around with and see how well it lays out on a Kill Team board too here in a few minutes as well. So they've got a couple of different looks. Of course, you can get, you know, the Gothic look, the tribal look, or the industrial look. Just kind of depends on what you want. And now they have the city ruins, which I think are great and a good step in the right direction. And here's the ramps and the bridges and the steps that I think are really cool, because you'll be able to slide the little bases underneath even in the little stairs right here. I think that's really cool. And again, it just snaps together or magnetizes together too, depending on, you know, where your level of commitment is. It's all high quality plastic. It's all, you know, HIPS, high impact polystyrene that you come to expect from this quality of product. And they're probably, I think, one of the only people in Europe that actually have this technology and don't farm it out to China. So that's pretty cool to see too. And I think it's very important to support some of the folks that are doing stuff and giving us these great values and these great alternatives to, you know, the tabletop wargaming, because that's important to have competition in this space, because where there's competition, there's a lot of reasonable prices. And we'll just leave it at that. So here's a painted up version of it. Now, there is something that I do want to point out in a lot of these, and including the prototypes that I have, there isn't the trim pieces in here. So if you're like, hey, that looks really cool, but what's with this gap? That hasn't been developed yet. Like, that's part of the Kickstarter, right? To get those ramps, to get those bridges, to get these extra parts right here, because to make a HIPS injection molding kit takes a lot of money and a lot of development costs, and they don't have it yet. But what they do have is what we have. And, you know, we're going to take a closer look at the sprues here in a second underneath the paint desk here. And I think that's going to be very telling, you know, to just take a look at the quality that they already have. And obviously they've delivered to these Kickstarters already, so I'm not worried about them not delivering. I just wish I had all the parts in my hand so I could show you the refined product, but that's not how Kickstarters work. Hopefully we can get them there, and we can get this really cool looking terrain, because I think these city ruins are where it's at for more reasons than one. Now here's a lot of the parts for the new Kickstarter, and you're probably looking at this like, hey, what is all this stuff? So very much similar to before, they have wall sections here, which are great looking. And out of all this, the only thing you have to actually glue down is this little coupler right here, so you can put the peg in it, so you can start doing Lego set tricks with all of this, like this little peg right here. These wall columns, these basically just stick together, and then you can get the different pegs and do the different things, and once you have that, then these start locking together. And they did this really cool thing at the bottom here where they look like little metal pieces that are just kind of attached to the columns, but those actually lock the sides into it so it doesn't torque, so it gives it extra strength, which is really, really cool. So not only so we got the walls, which we've always had walls from them. It's been great. You've seen these before. Like, this is the Eternal Cathedral, and yeah, they have the holes, and you can either use the pegs or you can use the magnets if you want, and just slap them in there. You just have to get all your polarities right. But now what they've done is they actually have floors that work, which is really, really cool. And I like this system here. These need to snap together somehow. So the way they do this is, you have to make sure you do this the right way. So you put the leg with the leg, is you can lock these together, and then you've got these longer pegs, which are great for going upwards, and you get these little couplers, which allow you to lock the floors in. And then you just take, and you'll put the floors, and you don't smash it all apart. You take and put the floors on here, and then it all stays locked together, right, like this. So, and it actually locks right underneath into it too. So it's very sturdy, even though it's only kind of hanging off like this. So in theory, you can, you know, have stuff on here. I wouldn't super recommend it. I would definitely say, hey, you know, put this other piece on here like this if you want, or if you're going wide, which you don't necessarily have to, they have these wide plates too, so you can lock it in with the back and have like nice big rooms if you really want to, or you can have the little smaller ones, which I didn't put this in, but I think you're starting to get the idea. And which these would lock in here, so you can have a nice big room, and then you can even go higher on this. And I know what you're thinking, like, oh hey, can I use that as the floor? And you can absolutely use that as the floor too. So you can build up a floor like this, and all you have to do is just put these in here like this. And there's a bottom on it too, so you don't always have to put it on the floor or build off the floor. Like, you can have terrain and different things, or use MDF if you want, and then you just basically add it in like this and lock all these together. And then if you want to stick your terrain on this, you can, because now the terrain locks in as well right underneath. So you can build up a really nice, super strong base for whatever you're working on, if that's what you want to do. And that's too big. Yep, that has to. So you have to use the smaller ones for the foundation. But once you get above the first floor, you can use the longer pegs here. And I don't have any spare pegs. But yeah, the detail's incredible. So they've got, you know, all the cracked stuff that you would expect. You got some rebar, some exposed rebar. They got a smaller version of it. They've got a square version of it. And you can have this stuff like I showed you, just hanging off the edge, which I think is really cool. So you can create a whole lot of different you know, little really neat looking play spaces, because, you know, when you're dealing with the city ruins, like, stuff's just going to be kind of scrambled and everywhere, right? There's not going to be any rhyme or reason to it in a lot of cases. So you might not necessarily have you know, a perfect like corner wall or something like that, or maybe something doesn't lock in together exactly the way you want. Well, you don't have to sweat it. You can just kind of make it up as you go, basically, and just kind of do whatever you want. So that's really neat, and I think that's going to speak volumes to this project. So I have a whole bag of this stuff, and what I'm going to do is go back to the game table and actually put all of this together and see kind of what we can come up with, you know, just with the rudimentary bases or the rudimentary components that I have here, that, you know, they're going to be a lot more coming on the Kickstarter, which I'm really, really excited about, to see like the ladders and the bridges and all that other cool stuff, because to me, this is just a new skin of what they've already offered, right? But I really want to see that stuff that we haven't seen yet. Oh, and I suppose I should show you that this goes together and these lock in to the older sets too. So you can use the new floors, which aren't locked into any specific style. Like this looks fine with this Eternal Cathedral, or it'll look fine with the industrial kind of look, because underneath there you got all the lights and everything. It may not look good with the ruin, with the temple, was it the Nezumi stuff? This might not work good, but it is stone, so it might flow. But it's gonna work with what you have already, which is, I think, the key thing, and more value that it brings to this offering as well. And here's the terrain all set up. Now, obviously, you're gonna get more than this. This is just the sampler stuff that they sent, but you can see it's exactly the right scale for most sci-fi skirmish, or just any really tabletop wargaming, 28mm, 32mm, whatever you want to do there. Different size stuff here. You can definitely see that it all works pretty good. And I did like this big sort of thing here just to show you that you can have, you know, you don't have to have the full like assembly around it. You can have like the blown out kind of rubble look. Now remember, there's going to be the trim pieces. They still haven't done those yet, so it looks a little. I mean, it still looks like kind of like ruinsy, but once you start looking close at it, you're like, wait, why is those circles there? And I didn't mean to draw your attention to it. I just think, you know, the first comment's going to be, why are the circles there? Because they don't have those parts yet, and that's why we're doing a Kickstarter, right? But as you can see right here, it works with the existing set of the cathedral terrain, which is really neat to see, because it all works in. And there's definitely enough that's going to come in. I mean, even if you bought that one, that's enough to, you know, fill basically a kill team board or two, just depending on what you want to do there. So I think it's pretty cool. You know, it's very, very modular. I had, it didn't take too long to get this all set up, just putting the pegs in and things like that, and just kind of locking it in and getting the ideas for it, and just kind of having some fun with it, and kind of cracking out and just making, you know, that 3-story, and then I did like a 2-story right here. I think it's pretty neat, like overall. So I really, really hope that we're able to get this funded for them, you know, so they can develop the rest of the pieces here. And you saw those ladders and you saw those bridges. You know, how cool would it be to have like a bridge between these two sections here, or back there, or right here, you know, and just line it up and have like ramps and all the different things. You know, the sky's pretty much the limit. So I think it goes together pretty well. It's definitely scaled well, you know, depending on what you want to do with these figures and stuff. You know, you've got a little firstborn kind of scout dude, and then you've got, you know, a custody dude that isn't going to quite fit through there because he's on a much bigger 40mm base, but if it was 32 it would fit. So I think, you know, I just think it's really cool, and there's a lot of potential with this, just like we've seen it with every one of these videos we've done for you guys. I'm just like, hey, I hope this gets funded because it's going to be pretty dope. And every time they seem to come out with more and more features. And, you know, now we're looking at these really cool flooring sections. We're going to have trim pieces, ladders, and the works. So definitely think about checking it out. I think it's good value. And, you know, being the third one, who knows, you know, 4, 5, 6, who knows at this point? We might have gigantic refineries and all sorts of crazy things out there. Wouldn't that be crazy, right? So that is it for this one. Thank you for hanging in there and listening to me rant and talk about this stuff. I'm just really, really impressed with how this goes together and the modularity of it. And, you know, it's as little or as lot as you want to put into it. You want to do the pegs, that's cool. You want to do magnets, that's cool. You know, 3 stories, 2 stories, 1 stories. We did these little kind of like throw, you know, little corner pieces right here, and I think they all go together very, very well. So again, thank you for watching this. Go check out the new Kickstarter for Ramparts, the walls and the city walls and urban terrain here. We'll have a link to it below. It might not be live yet by the time you see this video, but I assure you it is happening July 11th, 2022. If you liked that video feature, consider supporting us over at patreon.com and get back in the mail each month a miniature crate full of some of the stuff we review here, as well as some of the top 3D artist designs out there too, to help support what they're doing. Plus, discount coupon codes from some of those same manufacturers. They're yours to keep, whether you cancel or stay on. It's totally up to you. Obviously, we want to keep you as happy as possible. So check it out over at patreon.com/SpikeyBits.